Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of God of Gamblers 3, Back to Shanghai, a Hong Kong action comedy from 1991 that was written and directed by Wong Jing. It stars Stephen Chow and a handful of other big stars. The following plot synopsis was taken from the website Love HK Film. Deviating even further from its inspiration, the third God of Gamblers film takes Stephen Chow's Saint of Gamblers and sends him back in time. Okay? The plot device, which enables his time travel, is a cadre of psychic kung fu warriors who do battle with Sing, played by Stephen Chow. Their concentration of wacky ESP powers sends the Earth's magnetic field into a tizzy, and Sing gets sent back to the year 1937. Does this sound like a gambling movie to you? But I don't know. There, he encounters an effeminate ancestor played by Ing Man Tat, and even hangs out with Shanghai beach regular Ding Lick, played by Ray Lu. Then, there's assorted wacky episodes involving mainland acting goddess Gong Li as identical twins. One is a haughty ice princess, but the other is a sweet, lovable, mentally handicapped girl who Sing falls for. Plus, gambling and fighting. Oh, there is some gambling in this movie. Okay. The opening scene of this movie is very different from the last two. You should know that by now. It features a fight involving a time-traveling eunuch who is stopped by a dude with electricity powers. Alright. Stephen Chow shows up after that, and the laughs begin. Now, I did enjoy the comedy in this installment, possibly even more than the last two movies. For example, there's a fake poster involving Chow Yun-fat, who's not even in the movie, but they show him, and it blends in foot-sole massage concepts. That was an interesting gag to start things off. After Stephen Chow time travels, certain pieces of modern technology will randomly work, which was kind of amusing. The brawl between the red and black-colored fighters was good. There's a random musical number involving pork buns. It's like, some of this stuff's kind of random, but it is funny. It's a funny movie. However, and I gotta mention this, 45 minutes into this film, I made a declaration to myself that this movie should not be included within a God of Gamblers franchise, because there was still no gambling scenes at all up to that point of the film. 45 minutes into it. But, at this point of this franchise, whatever, dude. I'm not expecting much. The actual plot, though, is merely fine. Stephen Chow eventually gets involved with a different conflict that erupted in the 1930s, and I'm sure you have an idea what that could be. Gong Li is good as usual. It's very nice to see her in a silly film once in a while. A lot of her roles tend to be serious, but she seemed to be having some fun here. So the supporting cast is good. The cast in these movies really helps elevate the script, for sure. One nice thing is that the action content is ramped up from the last film in the franchise. So there's a surprisingly long and entertaining fight involving telekinetic powers, and it allows people to throw objects at their enemies by using their minds. More superhuman attacks are used, and it's a legitimately fun scene early in the film. One of the fighting styles that comes up is Kung Fu in Between, it's called, where it requires adjacently positioned objects in order to work, which I thought was kind of creative. Later on, there's a one-on-one fight between Stephen Chow and another popular actor who shows up. I didn't even know was in the movie, so that was a nice surprise. Pretty good fight. And thankfully, yes, we get a whopping 2 gambling scenes in this movie, folks. The first is right near the midpoint, and it's, a pretty good one, with Chow going toe-to-toe against a dude with X-ray vision in a dice game. It had an interesting little twist in there. That's all we get, however, in terms of gambling until the finale, which is kind of basic, but fairly entertaining. Overall, the gambling stuff is kind of disappointing in this. Another negative is that the runtime, they bloated back up to near 2 full hours with this installment, which does create some pacing issues during the second half. The first half, I think, was going at a good clip, actually. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to like this movie definitely more than the last two. But then the second half, it just kind of gets loosey-goosey, and starts to slow down a bit, drag out. So it ultimately dropped back down to the same general level as its predecessors, in my opinion. Again, most people will think the first film's the best, I think. But if I was forced to pick one of the first 3 films in this franchise to rewatch again, it might actually be this 3rd installment, which has the least to do with gambling. But yeah, so this is another modest recommendation for this franchise, currently available streaming on Apple TV. All of these movies so far are watchable. You know, they have their positives and negatives, but none of them really successfully nailed their gambling premise. You know what I mean? Didn't really scratch that itch for me enough. But nevertheless, I'm 3 movies in, so I'm just going to keep going. And now, you know, we're at the point now where I'm watching movies I've never seen before. Like, I've never seen this one before, and the ones after this I've never seen. I bet years ago I watched the first and the second one, and that was it. I bailed, but I'm going to keep going this time. So, yeah, what did you think of this one? I think it's reliable enough. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.